this is the thing. At the last, to be alive in what you are doing is life. It is simple as that. Something else that deprives us of being in the moment is our capacity to judge ourselves. All for the last year, while I've been recording this album, I tried to give myself one gift, and that gift was that I would not judge myself with the ideas I was having. I've had many ideas. I've just been rock and rolling a second ago. I have no idea in this moment if it's good. Did I enjoy it? I enjoyed it. And sometimes it's the practice of saying, I'll enjoy this irrespective of whether my sense of judgment or the demon that I call it is berating you if it's good or bad. Because if you're always thinking something's bad, it never goes through the versions of not being good enough to get to good enough. You are dispersed, you are not here. It doesn't matter whether you're writing a song, it's to say, right, it's to give yourself the gift that this I am doing with all my commitment and all my heart. And you can apply it to anything. You can apply it all the more so to the things that you don't want to do. When I'm faced with tasks, I'm always trying to remind myself this, not just that I have to do, but I choose to do. And the more that I choose to do it, to commit, despite the fact that you sometimes, of course, face that resistance. But when you really go in with that singular focus and you apply your heart to that task, you crunch through it and you earn yourself the freedom by giving yourself the focus. The more you resist, the less freedom that you get. Now, this is the thing, it's like all the best work you'll ever do has to suffer through some form of being mangled, of being distorted, of being imperfect. Things are not born perfect. They're born in gunk and disorientated and in pain. And we get our stuff through the process of birth. And the way that you do that is that you choose to live. You choose to live. Is it good? Is it bad? Don't matter a damn. Yeah, you got to bring that sense of judgment later, but can you be alive in this moment to allow it to breathe, to become whatever it wants to be? So today's a bit of a bit part day. It's about checking in with the different things I'm trying to complete, a little bit of creative time, about to get down to grading a project for a client. One of the things that we're going to feel at this time of year is there are going to be some places in our lives that have gone in a direction other than we wanted it to go in. There will be some projects that we wanted to complete. One of the most important things for me at this point of the year is that you forgive yourself for what's happened. It's so easy to feel down on this part rather than looking at the strengths of what you have done. And there's always this capacity to sort of pull oneself down. It's sort of almost as if it's a human nature. And I think part of that reason is that we fall into these comparison traps. And I'm very good at not judging myself next to others, but I think there's an aspect that gets into us on this level, irrespective of how internally healthy you are. So what I'm trying to do at the moment is I'm just trying to take a breath. Every time I've got a task, I'm going into it deeply and I'm not getting distracted by a million things. So I'm trying to train myself to zero myself just to be present and to get into that enjoyment of these little rituals.
You don't have to work. You don't have to work. I'm trying to work, but you're doing nothing. I don't care that your clock is stuck in 1742. I've tried to fix you, and up until now we've had a good year. This is not a good time to stop working. Let's continue to work. Let's continue to make rock and roll and magic and take on the gods.
We often try and resist procrastination. Something is calling us, we end up doing it, and we're like, oh, we should be doing that thing that's our work for today, that's our main task. I have a different approach to that. What I try to do is if something's calling me, let's say it's a song, and I know that I'm going to be thinking about it while I'm doing something else, I'll give over to that procrastination absolutely fully. Give it the time, let it exercise itself out of your system. And the thing is, if you give yourself over to that, then you do that thing fully. You're not divided amongst a million different things. Procrastination is often something that you really want to do, but you feel like you shouldn't be doing. So why not instead give yourself over to that, such as the song that I was writing earlier. So the second thing, which is what all the grind bros are going on about, is that you're meant to be sort of overcoming yourself. You're meant to be disciplined. You're meant to be doing this and that. And it's absolute nonsense. It's like, if you're trying to be motivated by something that you should be doing or something outside yourself, it actually, in my experience, it really impacts your focus. I think instead trying to make a value of the thing that you're doing as a spiritual discipline, saying, okay, I choose to do this, I'm going to be within this. And that doesn't have to always mean that you are sacrificing yourself to what it is that you're doing. You're not trying to always get to the end, because if not, you're always displacing this moment that you're living in into a fanciful future. I guess in some ways it comes from Buddhism, in that the more that you make the effort to come back, to return yourself into that moment, the deeper is the experience you're having of that thing. But then your exchange with life starts shaping itself, starts growing, and especially after a time of fragmentation where you're not totally there, you start binding yourself back to the moment you're in. That's what I'm going through today. There's this thing about when you're not trying to do anything, and everything you hear about nowadays is, it's all about this overemphasis on intentionality of one thing that you do being for another, and the very essence of what it is to be living and to be alive is lost. And I even look at today at some of the wonderful things that happen. These were the precious things that the paradox is that they were the interruptions themselves, and it's the interruptions that formulate your life. And so often we are resisting those interruptions or the things that are getting in the way, or we're so focused on the other hand for going after the things that we really care about that we forget time, forget intentionality, forget wanting something from something, just get into the thing itself.
Well, one never quite knows what one is doing.
Just feeling what you're feeling at this present time, and it amazed me how much pressure that we put upon ourselves within whatever we're doing. And I feel that all the time myself. It's like, you're just writing something, it's like, I should even be bothering with this. And but this is the thing, it's like the path to wonderful things, to good things. You have to go through the questions you have of whatever you're currently doing. There's no other way of doing it.
Probably the only thing that will ever hold true for all of us is that we give ourselves far too much of a hard time. Why, oh why, can we not just remember that we are within life, that this is a wonder, and that just to be in this great symphony is enough, to be participating, to be partaking, to be doing your best. This is what life is. Baudelaire complained in the 19th century that we are living in a perpetual form of suicide, evoking this idea that we are in this amnesiac state of mind. Our minds are like Pac-Mans. We eat up our memories in real time. And you have this decision in your life whether you are going to cut off from the way that all of society is, and the way that everyone does it, and the way that you're encouraged to do, to make a stand against the commodification of your mind, because it's commodified by being disintegrated. Are you willing to allow your mind to be disintegrated, first of all, and secondly, at someone else's benefit? But you have to find your way amidst this modern labyrinth to make your way back to a core. That is the absolute essence of life. Are you going to make your own stand? Because that's about self-reliance. That's about determining to take control, not just of your life, but of your mind. Because you cannot take control of your life for the responsibilities of everything that you experience unless you're willing to get into the noticing.
It's like the only way that you can do that in these days when you're going through whatever you're going through, can you gravitate back into that center and to make the effort to do that over and over and over. And as you make the effort, you get better at it. You are going to fluctuate. You are going to doubt yourself. You are going to be in various forms of torment at times, and you will get fragmented, especially at this time of year when you're in this collision course between all of these different things. We'll never get the balance between being good to ourselves, questioning ourselves, sometimes being behind. But what we can do is attempt to focus our minds on what matters and keep gravitating back to that. And the most important time to do that is when you're feeling fragmented, to notice you're feeling fragmented and see, okay, I'll be my own glue. I'll stick myself back together. I'll put another stitch through the tapestry, because your life is a magnificent tapestry, and each day and each moment is a part of that. Everything that you ever do is composing you. All you have is the striving after it. And if that can matter and that can imprint upon yourself and someone else, and then there can be exchange as a result of that, that's magnificent, that's beautiful. And I think that's what it's all about somehow. Because at the last life, it's about the sharing. And it's through the sharing that we are elevated and get to that ethereal thing called happiness that, after all, isn't this time of year all about. At least it's aspiration. Much love, everyone.